Welcome, everyone, to the closing session of the 25th TheEdCollab gathering. I am so delighted that you're able to join us today. I just have been blown away by all of the sessions across the day. So in this closing, I first have a bunch of thank yous and other things to share. And then I just have some closing thoughts for us before we go on our ways after today's incredible conference day. First, as I said this morning, today's theme, teaching literacy in the present tense, is a riff on a blog post that Kathleen Tanis did on our blog, community.theedcollab.com. This was from September, Teaching in the Present Tense, Lessons from Dream Teaching. Beth Puma, who was a presenter today as well, she also is our blog curator, and she sent me a link to Kathleen's post once it was up and said, basically, it's breathtaking, and it truly is. She really, if you at any point this year have felt that you don't know what to do next, or you feel hopeless or helpless, Kathleen just reminded us, no, there's energy to keep fighting, and we can do it. We can dream for better tomorrow. So please do read her blog post, and thank you for letting us riff on your title for today. If you have felt inspired by anything today, this is your last chance. And well, not your last, you can always do this in the future, but our last reminder, I should say, QR code is up on the corner of your screen to please pay the joy forward to today's adopted charities. You can find them at thegathering.theedcollab.com/charity. We mention this every gathering, and I've already heard some of my edu friends out there, you have texted me and said, oh, I just donated to this one, I donated to that one. Truly, it makes a difference. Every dollar makes a difference, especially right now when federal funding has largely been taken away from many nonprofit organizations around the world doing critically important work. It really becomes more reliant on people to support other people. So even if you only have $1 to spare, that's one more dollar than any of these organizations have right now, and that will directly impact their work. Palestine Children's Relief Fund was adopted for us by our amazing keynote speaker, Dr. Sasan Jaber. The Palestine Children's Relief Fund has been around for decades, supporting Palestinian children in filling in needs around health and wellness, including taking kids to other countries in order to have life-saving surgery. So please do consider paying the joy forward there. The Freedom to Read Foundation is a sister foundation of the American Library Association. Their specific work is around policy and advocacy. They help to both advocate, but also help to influence laws that are impacting the country, states, and localities. The Freedom to Read Foundation has been a past keynote speaker here at the TheEdCollab gathering, and they are a small but mighty team, and every dollar absolutely counts. If we want to be free people, we have to read freely, and that is their mission. And the Trevor Project provides 24/7 crisis hotline for LGBTQIA+ teens in crisis. You may be aware that there's a national hotline for suicide prevention and for mental health emergencies, the 988 number. Originally, when that number was started, there was specific funding that also supported the unique needs of queer youth. This current administration has taken all of that funding away, and so the 988 number no longer has a specific, you can't call and say you want that specific support. Which is particular to the needs of queer youth and their experiences. The Trevor Project has been around long before that and will survive long since the 988 number, but they provide the support that the federal government no longer does. All of these organizations support children, support the world, and we do ask you, if you were inspired by today, even if it's $1, even if it's $5, none of the money comes to us. Instead, you go to that website or use the QR code. You can click on any one of the charities to learn more about them, and if you choose to donate, you can find their donation button right there. And please let us know if you do, and thank you so much for making that one of your steps that you take today. So this day has been so inspiring. So a huge thank you to several people. One of which I didn't tell her that I would do this, but Jessica Walsh, who's actually in the this chat helping to run this one. Jessica's an award-winning educator. She just won another award as an Illinois educator just I think this past week. She's currently one of the EdCollab book ambassadors, focusing on secondary literacy. And Jessica has given of her time since the very beginning. I don't know how we got to 25 of these. Certainly, Jessica, you and I haven't grown any older, but here we are at our 25th gathering. We have them twice a year. And Jessica's been a part of every single one of them. And for any of the presenters who have been lucky enough to be behind the scenes with Jessica, her thoughtfulness and professionalism and care for making this day as powerful as possible is truly unmatched. So I'm saying it to you, and I can see your face in there. Jessica, thank you. These gatherings would not happen without you being a part of them. And since the beginning, you've been there. And every time it's, oh, another one's coming, can you do it again? Jessica's always said yes. So it truly means a lot. And a particular thanks to you. Please shout out Jessica online as well, too. Thank you to all of our tech team members. You have helped to make this day possible. Behind the scenes, Jessica, Janet, Zainab, Delphia, Melissa, Kara, and Beth. Thank you for caring for our presenters, for moderating the YouTube chats, and just helping to make this day a success. And of course, thank you to all of our presenters. Dr. Sosan's keynote this morning, if you were on the West Coast and you woke up a little late and you didn't catch it, although several of you on the West Coast did tune in live, but if you didn't miss it, the recording is now up. It is absolutely stellar. If you need a roadmap for what do we do in the now, to teach in the present tense, and to dream into the future, Dr. Sosan Jaber's keynote is absolutely incredible. So please do catch that. It's recorded right now. And to all of our presenters, Beth, Rosa, Lois, Kathleen, Vinay, Joellen, Jessica, Cindy, Sochi, Angela, and Nita, I got to see little bits of all of the sessions today. And now that it's recorded, I look forward to going back and being able to watch more. You gave your voice and your care so that today could be so powerful. So thanks to all of you. Each gathering is hosted by the TheEdCollab, and it's my professional home. The TheEdCollab is a think tank of practicing educators. Twice every 2 years, I should say, we open up the TheEdCollab to applications for new associates. We are currently ending the first year of the current associate group, and their second year is about to happen. So at the end of next school year is the time you could apply if you'd like to be a part of our think tank. It's a free opportunity to learn with compelling, amazing educators. Many of the educators who presented to you today are either current or recent members of our think tank. So please do be on the lookout for that. Follow us on social media so you can see updates about our next conference. Every fall and spring, we have an online gathering and all the other wonderful things that we do. So please do follow us online. We'd love to see you there. And we provide professional development to schools. If you are interested in anything you saw today and perhaps having someone come and speak to you, please do reach out at TheEdCollab.com. If you have someone particular in mind, even if they aren't a part of the TheEdCollab, we'll make sure that that message gets to them, or we'll share their contact information with you. We right now are booking professional development for the 2026-27 school year. So reach out if you are interested. And please do, I always cringe when YouTube channels say this, but now I'm saying it too. Please like and subscribe below. It actually really does make a big impact. When you like a video, it helps the algorithm learn that it's something that more people like you should see. And all of the sessions today were so powerful. So please do help to spread the word of those by liking. And if you subscribe to our channel, it just improves the reach of getting the great work of practicing educators out into the world. So this morning, I shared a bit, and I want to talk just a bit more about the ways that words create and take power. The National Archives hosts all of our, in the United States, all of our key documents. Here is what's so incredible to see is there is some prints, like you can see a resolution clearly went through a printing press, but because this was the time of printing presses, the way that the 15th Amendment was written was handwritten within this outline. So the 15th Amendment itself is rather short. Section 1, Section 2 Article 15, Section 1, the right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state or on any account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. Section 2, the Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. And so this, the 15th Amendment, which was ratified on February 3rd, 1870, created that promise that more Americans should be able to vote and to have power. These handwritten words within a somewhat typed or printing press text created that. So if you know history, you know that just because words are written down does not mean that they come to light. And so the Jim Crow era, amongst other violence during Reconstruction, helped to lead to the need for Congress to do what Section 2 of that amendment explicitly says, to pass more legislation. So on August 5th, 1965, the Voting Rights Act, which is officially called the Voting Rights Act by the act itself of 1965, was enacted. This much longer text, which you can see is actually now typed and printed, this longer text was written specifically to enforce the 15th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States and for other purposes, and set forth a variety of ways that Congress and legislators could uphold the promise of the 15th Amendment, that no race, color, or previous servitude could bar you from voting. During the Jim Crow era, things like a poll tax, where certain people were asked to pay money in order to vote, with the assumption that not everyone could afford that amount, therefore they couldn't, or tests that were given, literacy tests that were made just easy enough for some folks to pass, those with white skin, and make it harder for others, oftentimes those with black skin, to not be able to vote. So this act, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, said that while that promise from the 15th Amendment is essential, we need to provide more words and more legislation and more ways to support that promise. So this has been the law of the land for 61 years. And then earlier this week, the Supreme Court of the United States released their opinion on the case of Louisiana versus Calais. If you followed, this case was about Louisiana created a map, a voting map, where, like all states do, there was gerrymandering, trying to figure out who fits into which section of the country. And there was a lawsuit brought against that map, which said that in the state of Louisiana, there are enough concentrated Black voters that having only one district where Black voters are concentrated within is against their civil rights. It goes against the Voting Rights Act and against the 15th Amendment. And so Louisiana tried creating a second district, and that second district's map then had another case brought against it, in which others felt that by creating that second district, they were diluting other people's votes, namely non-African American voters, white voters, etc. And so this case kind of languished across time. It went to a court, went back to a court, it went through appeals and went back down. And finally, earlier this week, the Supreme Court released their opinion on it. And what this opinion has mostly done is taken out all of the ways, or most of the ways, that an individual or a group can assert the rights and the promise of the 15th Amendment. By this case, particularly looked at Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act and some legal challenges that are allowed inside of that. By mostly saying that is unconstitutional, the Supreme Court has basically destroyed most, if not all, of the Voting Rights Act. What I wanted to point out to you is not only the importance of words, but also how, like we've seen in our current era, connotation, denotation, what words mean, denotation, and then the ways we can interpret those words, or the kind of flavor that those words give, connotation, how those are deeply at use here. Also, if you are a secondary teacher, this and any Supreme Court opinion are fascinating looks at argument. How do folks that have a certain opinion want to support that opinion? So on our page here, there is this section. Accordingly, it starts up here. To understand the baseline, we must nail down the meaning of these terms, quote, less opportunity, quote, other members of the electorate, and quote, elect. What this section of this SCOTUS opinion does is it takes common English phrases that one would think are clear to understand, given both how they were written into the Voting Rights Act and what was taking place at the time of the Voting Rights Act. And what the justices appear to be doing is pulling those words out and trying to create their own argument with them. That's my read, at least. So they then have multiple graphs where they talk about, so what does the term less opportunity actually mean? Does it actually mean that people don't get to vote? I don't know. Other members of the electorate, they even have a whole section on what the term elect might mean. And they use that in order to create an argument that says that the protections of the Voting Rights Act, which were a part of the, or were built upon the promise of the 15th Amendment, what they are saying, in their opinion, in this opinion, is that it's no longer necessary. There's an entire section which then goes on to explain, built on their own, what I would consider faulty opinion in Shelby County versus Holder, which was their first major stab at dismantling part of the Voting Rights Act. They go back to their own precedent that they set themselves, the majority of this court, in saying that all of, according to them, the entrenched racial discrimination in voting that once appeared in this country no longer is a part of this country. Therefore, it's not needed. I don't understand how anyone could have that reading unless you have goals in mind. So these are two documents. What they are words on a page. These words on the page were developed through conversation, through reading past cases that are cited throughout, by creating an argument, or in this case, arguments, providing reasons and evidence for them. These are real world examples of how words have power. Written words, whether they are in political documents, they are on social media, they're in the books that we read, have the power to create and destroy. They have the power to create opportunities for real living people. They also have the power to create a belief in yourself and understanding that you're more powerful than perhaps you think. When you, as Sosan mentioned, Dr. Radine Sims Bishop's windows, mirrors, and sliding glass doors this morning in her keynote, when you see a book that has a bit of you inside of it, it helps you to see your own story better. And so it's no wonder that this administration and others like them around the world go after words first. They came after the books that we use in our classrooms. They came after the social media like Twitter, when it used to be Twitter, the ways that people were connecting and making real change. What's called the Arab Spring grew out of social media connections. The Me Too movement grew out of social media connections. Many of the big civil rights wins and shifts and changes in recent history, social media has been a part of it, a way that we share words. The way that words are being silenced can make us as literacy educators feel that we need to be silent too. And depending on the state that you're in or the district that you're in, your levels of feeling safe or unsafe to share your words may vary. And I still have a cold, I need to cough for 1 second. Thank you. So what I want to encourage you to think about as we leave today's incredible gathering is that even if you feel silenced, even if you feel you must say or do less, we need more words, not less. In the book talks that were given today, you saw so many stories that were shared about the environment and the earth, about legacy and family, about being a change maker, about responding to the time we're in now. We need more of those words because books aren't going away. Even when there are challenges of books in libraries or books in classrooms, those books still exist and will go back on those shelves at some point when this time has ended. We need more of you as educators speaking out about your experience as educators, as the Department of Education has been dismantled, mostly to take that money away and give it over to large businesses and tech billionaires who rather have that inside of their retirement accounts. Um, as the Department of Education is dismantled federally, we need to tell more of our stories. Many of you did this on May 1st, on May Day. Across the country, there were many educators who stepped out of school for the day to say, enough is enough. I'm here to protect my children. I'm here to protect my profession. And I see you, we see you, and thank you for you standing up. We need more words to change legislation. We need more times that we're interacting and demanding more from our public officials. So I want to bring back an idea that I shared with you in an opening and a closing 1 year ago in the spring conference last school year. What are you willing to stop to save the world, and what are you willing to start to save the world? 1 year ago, I raised this reporting from the inauguration that nearly $1 trillion in net worth, that has now grown over just this year and a half. Tech titans gathered at Trump's inauguration. All of the heads of major technology were there. And we have seen since then, since this reporting in January 2025, what those tech billionaires have done with their power, influence, and money, and what that's done to our economy, what that's done to our neighbors, what that's done to our communities. And so I've said this for several gatherings, and I'll say it again. One place that these folks care the most about is money. So if you are still using Amazon Prime, if you are still watching Amazon videos, if you still pay a subscription on X, if you shop at Target, if you, whatever the many of places that are doing real harm currently, if you are spending your dollars there instead of stopping, that sends a message. Now, I am going to cough again, but I'm not going to mute. Excuse me. I haven't used Amazon Prime, and I love my Amazon. I have not used Amazon at all, not even just Prime. I have not used Amazon in well over a year. Well, since then. At first it was weird, and now I don't miss it. I just find other places, including local ones, that I can order from. I am still on Instagram because I can't let go of being connected with folks, and it seems like people are active there. So I am still there. I am aware of that. I wish I could let go. You might be making decisions like that. What's something I can be a part of? What's something I can let go of? The more things that you can stop, the better it supports the movements that need the most help. Then I hope you also leave today thinking, what are you willing to start to save the world? In Dr. Jaber's keynote this morning, she laid out many, many practical, incredible ideas of things that we can do in our own classrooms. Here are just a few on your screen. Will I cough one more time? I'm sorry. Thank you. Here are just a few of the many ideas. Please do go rewatch her session. Things like be equitable. Don't just talk about equity, be equitable yourself. I loved that point, that it's not just the text that we bring around us, but it's also the people that we interact with in our own lives. I love this distinction between brave spaces versus safe spaces. We need to feel safe, but the next level of those is that we also engage in brave conversation in our classrooms, in the spaces we create in and out of school. That students, we help them be content creators, not just content absorbers is really what I think is happening a lot through social media and other places, that they really see the agency that they have, and we're helping them do that, and that work lives not just in our schools but beyond our schools. And really overall acknowledging, I love the point, I wrote it down, this is not a generation of compliance. The students that we have around us have so much at their fingertips. They don't want to be limited by just one activity or just one way of doing things. And so shifting from them doing what is told into really being content creators inside of our spaces and being a part of the work as well is powerful. And there were many, many more great ideas. But as you think about both Dr. Jaber's session and all the others you saw today, really consider, what will you do that is new and different? What will you start to save the world? Because that's really what we're working towards here. Before I sign off, just a reminder, please check your voter registration. In the current environment where we are leading towards here in the US, the midterm elections. Okay, here I am talking on my soapbox again. These midterms are so pivotal, and this current administration is aware of it and is talking about it and is saying it. In order for them and all of the things that they're doing to our world and our country and our communities to continue to happen, they need to stay in power. If you were them and you think there's a pretty good chance that you might be taken out of power in the midterm elections, if you were them, what would you do to stop that from happening? Because those things, like dismantling the Voting Rights Act, are already happening. And I cannot see into the future, but I would not be surprised if the closer and closer we get to November of next year, a lot more strange, terrifying, scary things are going to continue to happen. And there are many states, or maybe it's more fair to say several states in the United States, that have frequently and regularly taken voters who have every right to vote off the voter rolls. And some folks have shown up to polls only to see that their registration was taken away without their knowledge. So I implore you, if you're an active voter in the United States, and you should do this no matter what country you're in, for your own country that you vote in, between now and the election, make it a regular practice that you are going to check that your voter registration in your state is still active. That way you can do something about it. So on your screen here, currently, asterisk, currently, vote.gov takes you directly to resources to find your own state's voter registration information. The Election Assistance Commission, if you Google that name, is also a federal agency. They have a page that helps you choose your state, and then you can find voter registration information. If, as the months go on, you are less trustworthy of federal sites, you could also look to a large number of nonprofits that do the same work. Rock the Vote is just one of several. On their page, they have a giant map. You can click on your state, and then from there find voter registration information. And as I said, this is true in the United States, but no matter where you vote in the world, check your registration. Although a lot of you just are automatically registered and don't need to do what we do in the US. So yeah. So if you feel inspired by today's gathering, if you feel that teaching literacy in the present tense has been challenging, or you've been concerned about it, or maybe you've already been filled with energy, but this has just added more. If you feel inspired, yet again, I'll remind you, please, please pay the joy forward. Our three nonprofits for the day all will make great use of your funds in order to support children, to support civil rights, and just to help us make a healthier world. So please do pay the joy forward there. Well, I can't believe we made it, Jessica. We made it. Here we are at the end of yet another The TheEdCollab gathering, our 25th. Thanks to all of you for tuning in and making this day so special, whether you tuned in live or you're now watching us in the future. Thanks to all of our presenters, our tech team, and thanks to all of you educators for everything that you do to protect our students, to protect our incredible profession, and to protect our world. The present tense right now is intense and scary, but as Fred Rogers said, look to the helpers. And it's true. While things feel terrifying, and they are, when you look to places like Minneapolis and Chicago, where entire communities have marched children safely to school so that they and their families can rest easier for one more day, when you've seen how in the courts, a number of major cases have been won against the horrors that are happening around us, using literacies to change laws and policies. If you look to things like the Department of Education, who at the start of their tenure tried to release a letter that said schools can no longer use anything, quote unquote, DEI. If you're not aware, that letter has been rescinded because they lost in court, decided to settle, and rescinded that illegal notice to schools. Words matter. This time in the present tense is terrifying, but as Kathleen Tanis invited us to do in her incredible blog post, we can and must dream into the future. So thank you for all that you do for our schools, for your colleagues, for our students, and for our amazing profession. Take care, everyone, and we look forward to seeing you again in the fall. Thank you.